Have you ever felt like something is off in your relationship but couldn't quite pinpoint what it was? Love, when it fades, doesn't announce itself with grand explosions or dramatic exits. Instead, it slowly dissolves, slipping away quietly like water trickling through your fingers. Studies suggest that the majority of breakups don't happen overnight. Rather, they are the result of small, accumulated changes in behavior and emotions over time. Before we dive into today's discussion, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below about your own experiences with love and relationships. Have you ever sensed the moment when love started to fade? Let's explore the subtle signs together. The two key signs that love is fading. Psychologists have long studied the slow deterioration of romantic relationships, and two key indicators stand out as consistent warning signs. 1. Emotional and physical withdrawal. 2. A shift in the way they see you. To understand these signs better, let's reflect on an ancient Zen story about a wanderer and a wise sage. The wanderer's journey for answers. Once upon a time, a wanderer had experienced love in its purest form. He had cherished the warmth of a lover's embrace, believed in whispered promises under the moon, and felt a deep sense of security. But over time, everything began to change. Words that once carried affection now felt cold. The time spent together, which once felt like a sanctuary, started feeling like an obligation. Confused and heartbroken, the wanderer climbed a mountain in search of a wise sage. "What went wrong, Machon?" he asked. "Did I do something to cause this?" The sage listened carefully and then led the wanderer to a garden. Pointing to a flower whose petals were beginning to fall, he asked, "Do you see this flower crying out in pain? Is it resisting the changing seasons?" The wanderer shook his head. The sage continued, "Love, when it fades, does not shatter, it dissolves. And those who stop loving always exhibit two behaviors. If you observe carefully, you will see them too." The first sign, emotional and physical withdrawal. The sage dipped his hand into a bowl of water and then slowly lifted it, letting the droplets slip away. "See how effortlessly the water leaves my hand?" he said. "That is how love disappears, without force, without effort. When someone loses feelings for you, they may not physically leave right away, but their presence changes. Conversations become shorter and feel forced. Laughter, once shared effortlessly, fades. They no longer seek your company, and spontaneity vanishes from the relationship. These subtle shifts indicate that emotional and physical detachment has begun. Research on attachment theory supports this. Studies show that when individuals become emotionally disconnected, their brain activity in response to their partner's emotions significantly decreases. They engage less, both verbally and non-verbally, signaling an internal withdrawal before a breakup even occurs. How can we recognize this withdrawal in time? The wanderer, still struggling to accept this reality, asked, "If this detachment is so silent, how can we notice it before it's too late?" The sage nodded and replied, "The heart always knows before the mind does." Small details reveal the truth. Longer silences, lighter embraces, less eye contact. Often we cling to the familiarity of a relationship, hoping things will return to how they once were. But ignoring these signs only prolongs the inevitable. The second sign, the shift in perception. The sage then picked up a mirror and handed it to the wanderer. "Look at yourself. This is your reflection today." But over time, even the most familiar faces become strangers. When someone stops loving you, their gaze changes. The warmth in their voice disappears. Their affection, once overflowing, now feels like a mere obligation. The person you once knew begins to seem unfamiliar, as if they have become someone else entirely. Relationship experts call this the devaluation phase. Studies have shown that when love fades, people naturally start to perceive their partners more critically. The brain, which once idealized the loved one, now focuses on their flaws instead. This mental shift marks the beginning of emotional detachment. When love changes, so do we. The wanderer gazed into the mirror and realized that he too had changed. He had been shaped by silence, by unspoken words, by the absence of the love he once knew. "Love transforms," the sage said. "When two souls intertwine, They shape each other. But when love fades, the bond loosens, and what was once unity becomes distance. And it's not just them who sees you differently. You too are no longer the same person in their eyes. Letting go with grace, not desperation. Not. The wanderer felt a knot in his stomach. So what should I do? He asked. You cannot hold water between your fingers, the sage replied. You cannot convince a flower not to shed its petals. Love that is forced is not love. It's imprisonment. Many people believe that love can be salvaged through force, persuasion, or compromise. But true love, like the wind, cannot be contained. If someone starts to pull away, let them go. It's not about resignation, but about acceptance. Love is not something we own. It is something we experience. 000757. Final thoughts. The freedom in letting go. As the wanderer descended the mountain, he no longer felt the urge to chase the love that had faded. Instead, he looked forward to what lay ahead. And now I ask you, have you ever seen these signs in someone? Have you felt that quiet distance growing between you and someone you love? If so, maybe it's time to let go. Not in anger or despair, but with the understanding that love, when it is true, does not need to be held onto with force. Letting go is not losing. It is respecting the natural flow of life. Every ending is a new beginning, and true love never disappears. It simply changes form. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to share it with others who may need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your thoughts and experiences, and if you'd like to support our work, consider clicking the thank you button. Remember, love is not about possession, it is about experience. See you in the next video.